Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma LaFave, and today we're going to be painting these beautiful Hanukkah candles. So let's get started. Okay, so today we're actually going to be painting a Hanukkah card. We're going to be doing some Hanukkah candles. And if you don't celebrate Hanukkah, you can just follow how to paint candles in the dark. So today I am painting on a small piece of Arches watercolor paper that I could tape onto a card after. I have some painter's tape that I'm going to lay around the edges. I'm also going to be using my masking fluid. You don't need to have masking fluid. Oh, that was open. But it might be helpful for the background. Otherwise, you can just paint around the candles. Totally up to you though. So I have this, and then we are going to start by sketching out the candles, applying the masking fluid, and then painting. So the first thing I'm going to do is sketch them out. Okay, so we have 8 candles, 1 in the middle to light the other 8 candles. So I'm going to make this one a little bit taller. So we're going to do 1 in the center. If you'd like to use a ruler, you totally can if you want. I feel like mine is a little bit off. And the size of paper that I'm painting on is just like a card size. It's almost like a 5x7-ish. I didn't actually measure it. I just kind of cut it. I am going to use a ruler. I lied. Okay. And then we're going to make it like this. And you're just going to draw 9 candles. 4 on the side, 4 on the side, 1 in the middle. Obviously. Make it a little bit taller. Like that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just gonna have a little bit of a curve for the top. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like so. There's 4. I know it's really light. Like so, and I am leaving a little bit of space at the top if you wanted to write something on the card. Okay, and then we're just going to do the wicks. So I'm just going to have like a little line here. Like that. And I'm just going to do like a little semicircle so it looks like you can see kind of like the top-ish part of the candle. Like that, and then I'm just going to do the flame. So I'm just going to do kind of like a teardrop shape, but nice and thin. Like so. Okay, so now I forgot to tape down my paper. I'm going to do that quickly because I forgot. This is what happens when you film in the morning. I'm just making a small border. And I tape it down because it will help keep our painting flat when we're doing the background and using lots of water. But it also gives it a nice little border once you're done taking it off. And the painter's tape I'm using is just from the dollar store. Nothing fancy. Dollar store painter's tape. My favorite. It's like $2. Okay, so now that we have that, we can apply our masking fluid. Now, if you don't have masking fluid, you do not have to obviously go out and get some. You can just paint the background around the candles, okay? And I'll show you how to do that. The reason why I'm using masking fluid is because this just kind of saves a little bit of time with having to be careful, if I can open this, with painting around. Whoop, there we go. I think I need some new. I need some new masking fluid. And I have a designated brush for my masking fluid because it will damage your brushes. I do not suggest using one of your good brushes. And all you're going to do, I did do, I think, a video on what masking fluid is. So you can always watch that if you like. Just look up Emma LaFave masking fluid. But it just leaves the area white. So this turns into kind of like a rubber almost. It will dry and it gives it like a rubbery kind of texture. And then you can just paint over it, which you'll see. And it will keep the underneath white. So I'm just going to go over the candles. Not necessarily the wick. You don't need to worry about the wick, but the flame and the candle part. And then we'll be right back. Okay, so now all of the masking fluid is applied. You can see it's yellow, and you'll know it's completely dry when it's a bit darker of a yellow tint, and it has a rubbery feel to it. So we're just going to let this completely dry, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so now that our candles are dry, you can actually just feel them and nothing comes up on your fingers, and they feel kind of like sticky, like rubber. Okay, so now I'm going to take my size 12 brush and I am going to create the background. So again, if you're not using masking fluid and you have these just drawn out, you're just going to have to carefully go around each candle and flame because we want it to remain white. But otherwise, if you have masking fluid, we can kind of just paint over the whole thing and it just makes it a little bit easier. So in some senses, it is a little nicer to have this. But yeah, okay. So I want kind of like a background, like a dark background, like this is in a dark room. So I'm going to do the yellow that would be coming off the candle first. Okay, so I'm just going to do some yellow really lightly, not lightly, but like messily around this. And then as we make the background further away from the candle, it's going to be, see how I can just paint over the masking fluid? Makes it so much easier. As we get further away from the candle, it's going to be black. So it's going to go into some sort of like brownish color. As we slowly move away, I'm just applying the yellow first. Then I'm going to just get some water and just kind of go over the whole thing. It'll be easier to blend it if we do some wet on wet. Okay, so it looks, oops, and try and be light with your brush strokes over the masking fluid because it could bring it up, which we don't want to. Okay, so now I'm going to take some black, just some black, and I'm just going to kind of start placing it further away from the candle. Candles up here. Really hoping this works out because I actually haven't painted this before. Okay, and then as it gets closer to the candles, it's going to make kind of like a brownish color. But I want it the darkest the further away it is. So I'm going to add darker black down here, and it's going to gradually move up. Okay, so the corners are going to be the darkest. We're just going to kind of move it slightly like that. I know it looks really weird. But we're going to blend it in, blend it together. Just going to kind of blend around, bringing some of that black closer to the candles. I washed and dried off my brush, so I don't have a lot of black pigment on my brush, and I'm just gently moving it closer to the candles so it starts to blend in just a bit with the yellow. I'm going to wash off my brush and dry it again. And once again, blend it. Okay, I just want to move that black lighter towards where those candle flames are. So I'm just kind of going in between. Try and even it out up here a bit. Bringing it down and around. Want a little bit darker up here and down here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. These aren't perfect paintings. It doesn't have to be super realistic. You guys know me, I don't do realism. We're just kind of giving an effect of lit candles. So I'm just trying to put this black kind of in between. Like that. Then I'm going to grab some more yellow. Again, just kind of placing it around the flames. And if it mixes with the black a little bit to create a brown, that's totally cool. Kind of want that. We want it to mix a little bit. I feel like I want the black from the bottom to go in a bit higher. See that? You can even grab a little bit of brown. So I'm going to grab a little bit of burnt umber for a bit more warmth in the black. I know it looks weird. It does not look great right now. It will look better, I hope. I'm saying that with confidence because that's what you got to do. You got to kind of pump yourself up. And if it turns out, it turns out. If it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out. I'm hoping for the sake of this video it does, but in real life, sometimes things just don't turn out, and that's okay. The countless amount of paintings that I have done before where they just don't turn out. Just kind of adding that brown in there. Okay, and there's like so many candles close together. That's why we're kind of getting this really like a lot of brightness around the candles. And I'm just trying to blend this so you're not getting such a harsh line from the black to the brown. Wash off my brush, dry it, and we're just going to try and blend some areas out. I might again just get a little bit of yellow. Like that. And I'm looking in my monitor and I'm just seeing kind of more of a sharper edge up here of the black and the brown. I just really want to blend it out. And that you have to be really gentle when you blend things out, okay? Because if you press too hard, you're just going to end up lifting the color, which it seems like it's kind of doing right now. I wonder if, what if I do those little water flecks to make it look like there's some bokeh or something in the background? I don't know. Just playing. And I just keep adding just because why not, right? Wash my brush off. You'll see me do this a lot, washing my brush off and drying it. Just helps get rid of some of the pigment. Okay. I don't know if I love it, but I feel like once we do the candle part, it might be a bit better. Just adding a bit more darkness. Okay, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Okay, I'm thinking of taking my size 6 brush, just making it wet with clean water, and I'm just going to gently tap some water to make it look like there's light in the background, maybe? I don't know. Okay, and we're going to let that dry. We're going to let that dry, and we're going to come back, and we're going to lift the masking fluid to reveal the candles underneath, okay? Okay, now the painting is dry, we can take up the masking fluid. And just to do this, all you have to do is just run your finger, over. And you can just gently pull it up like that, and it reveals the white underneath. So I'm just going to do this. Just be very gentle with it. And you should be good. So just a quick disclaimer about masking fluid. I've only ever really used this Winsor Newton brand, so I don't know a whole lot about other brands and other kinds. But you are going to want to test out your masking fluid on paper beforehand, just to make sure that it works well with it. Some papers will actually tear if you use masking fluid, so always test on your paper beforehand. But I know with Arches and my Etcher Lab sketchbooks, the masking fluid works perfectly fine. Okay, so now that the masking fluid is all up, you can see the bright white that is underneath. The flames are actually perfect for this. We're going to start with the flames. We want to leave it mostly white. If you have any pencil marks underneath that masking fluid that you want to just take up, you definitely can do that first. But we do want to keep it mostly white. We're just going to gently blend a little tiny bit of yellow. So you can go just like a little bit of tiny bit of yellow around the edges, just to make it look like it's glowing. Like a really light wash of it. And then even just kind of blend it out inside. You can even do like a little bit of orange. Give it a little bit of warmth. Just gonna wash off my brush. Just blend it out because you want it mostly white in the middle. You want it like a really nice stark kind of white so it looks like a really bright light. I'm using the tiniest amount of color on my brush, like the tiniest. And then I actually might even take just like the tiniest bit of a blue, like a turquoise, tiniest bit. Just a little bit at the base. You know that like little bit of flame where it's like almost blue? Just the tiniest bit at the base there. Like that. I feel like I could use a little bit more warmth. Just a tad bit. The tiniest bit. Okay, there we go. And then the candles, I was thinking of doing them like a white, an off-white, but you know what? Like it's Hanukkah, let's do them blue. Make it look a bit more interesting. I was a little worried about the background color, like this blackish brown warmth with blue. So I just kind of tested out the color. And I think I want to do this ultramarine. So it's a bit of a warmer blue. But we're also going to make it kind of like dusty color. So it's not too bright blue. So I have ultramarine here, French ultramarine. I'm going to just do a really light wash of it. And then I'm going to add its contrasting color, which is orange. And that's going to dull it down. Make it more of a dusty, dark blue. Okay. So I'm going to start with like the lightest wash, so just more water than paint. And I'm going to go over the whole candle to start. The lightest wash of blue. And you can do your colors whatever, or your candles whatever color you like. They do not have to be blue. You can do them. These could be New Year's candles, Diwali candles. I don't know. I think they have Diwali candles. I don't know much about too many other celebrations. I don't celebrate Hanukkah myself. I do have some friends that celebrate Hanukkah. But if you ever feel like you want to share part of your culture or your celebrations with me, and give me ideas of a tutorial to do based on that, because I honestly, like, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about other cultures, their celebrations specifically. I know about other cultures, but just not specific celebrations. I am recording. Oh my gosh, I just had a panic attack. But if you have anything specific that you'd like me to paint for a celebration of something you celebrate, that would be awesome to share with me, because I'd love to do that. I want to include more different cultures and celebrations from around the world, not just mine, right? But I also don't want to do it incorrectly, if that makes sense. I want to make sure that I'm doing it justice and doing something proper. So let me know in the comments below. Before I keep going, I'm going to start adding a bit more color So I'm just getting a bit of a darker blue, just moving it down a little bit. I'm going to leave it lighter closer to the top. But I wanted to do this while it was still wet, just so it blends a little bit easier. Then I'm going to take my dusty blue, which is basically, I like to call it a shadow color. So to create shadows of certain colors, you just add its contrasting color. I'm going to grab a little bit of orange. And it just mutes it a little bit. And I'm just adding it to the bottom and then just blending it upwards. So to blend it a little bit better, I'm just going to wash off my brush, dry it a bit, just taking some of that extra water off, and just gently blend it together so you get a really nice gradient. And if you feel like you're bringing too much of the pigment up, like right here, I'm going to wash or dry off my brush and then just blend it out. Okay. You can keep going and making it darker if you like. Especially closer to the bottom. Get my orange. Might even grab like a little bit of like Paynes gray or something just to make it a little bit darker. Okay, we want to make it look like there's shadows down there. Like that. Okay, I'm going to do the rest. Grab our regular blue, nice light wash of it. I kind of like the splatter in the background. It looks like there's just like twinkling lights back there, which is nice. Like that. Grabbing a bit more of the color. Taking off some of that pigment and just blending it. Wash off my brush. Dry it a bit. Just blend it together. And then our shadows. I feel like I need to bring more of that regular blue up as well. Wash off my brush, dry it again, blend it upward. And then a bit more of my like Paynes gray just to make it extra deep down here. And dark. Like so. Okay. Oops. I have a little bit on the background. There we go. Okay, so then I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll do a little bit more detail on the tops of the candles, and then the wick, and then we take off the tape and we're done. So let this dry first. Okay, so now that it's dry, I'm going to take my size 2 brush, and we're going to do a little bit of detail towards the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our shadow color, so this dark blue that we made, right? And I'm going to just kind of create the inside of the candle like it's been burning for a little bit. We're just going to do this kind of uneven inside like that. Okay? I know it kind of looks a little weird. We're just doing kind of like the semicircle-ish thing. Maybe not so dark. Hold on. I'm going to make it darker right on one side. And then just kind of blend it. I'm just going to do like a little medium kind of wash of it. So we're going to do like a semicircle. And then tap in a bit more darkness. So it's not all the same amount of darkness. Does that make sense? Just a little bit. Like that. So it's like you're seeing the top of a burnt candle. Not burnt candle, melted candle. Not burnt, melted. I'm just taking my Paynes gray to make it a little bit darker around the edge right there. And I might end up using a bit of my bleed proof white ink for a bit of a highlight. So if you have like a white gouache or a white ink, just blending this out. That might be helpful just to create a little bit extra detail, but again, you don't have to have it. There we go. Almost done. Don't know if I love this little detail, but we're doing it. The highlight might help. Like that. Okay. And if you want to ever deepen the shadows on the candles too, you can definitely do that. Just lay it on there, wash and dry off your brush, and just blend it out if you want. You don't have to. I might do that after, but that's kind of how I would do it. But, oops, and I just dropped a bunch of water, so that just lifted all up. My bad. So I'm just going to wash it off and blend it off. Don't have drips on your ferrule. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Just trying to blend it out now because I've made a boo-boo. I'll blend it out. Okay, and then I'm going to show you. So I'm going to use this Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White ink here, and I'm just going to take a little bit, just a little bit, and I'm going to put it around the edge of here. So it's like the light would kind of be shining on the tips of the candle where it's melted. Does that make sense? Just the tiniest bit of highlight, nothing too crazy. Like that. Maybe around the back just a little bit. And if you really want to whiten it up in the middle, you can. Not too much. I don't know if that did anything. Okay, so I think I'm just going to deepen some of these shadows on the candles just to make it kind of stand out a bit more. So I'm just taking my dark shadow color again, and it's dry, so I'm just placing it at the bottom, and then I wash off my brush, dry it on my paper towel, and then just blend it up a bit. Do I want to do that? Do I need to do that? Yeah, let's do that. I'll even just take some Paynes gray and do that. Make it nice and dark. Okay, and there we go. So now I'm just gonna take off the tape to reveal our nice border. Okay, I obviously forgot something that is important, and that is the wick. Duh. All right, so I'm just going to grab my size 2 brush and a little bit of black. Just a little bit of black. Yeah. Okay, and I'm just going to use the tip of my brush. And I'm just going to create the tiny little line. Like so. Like a little thicker towards the top, like there's a little, you know, thing there. I don't know what I'm saying. Like that. Then I think I'm going to take, just to make it look, yeah, see that pulls together. I was like, why does this look so odd? I'm gonna take a little bit of my white, just a little bit of my blue, and I'm just gonna kind of just go on the side of it just to make it look like there's a bit of a light on the wick. I don't know if that actually did anything or not. There we go. Like a bit of white, I think. Kind of framing it, right? Just a tiny bit. Like that. And that looks pulled together. Okay, I was wondering what was wrong with it. Looked like it was just off to me. But now we have our candles. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram and all my other platforms for tons more content.